Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here today. I have Trish Zook as my guest. She's a massage therapist, a reflexologist, and we met at an event and she did some reflexology on my feet, and it was amazing to say the least. Trish, you wanted first let me say hello to everybody that's on live. I want to say hello to Robert and thank you for the super sticker, and hello Ruth. I think that's all I've seen so far join us live. Trish, you want to share a little bit about how you got into it, what started you with the massage and the reflexology? Were there any things in your personal life that you searched out for healing?
Sure. So it's a pretty long story.
We got time.
All right. Well, here goes. So I guess it was probably about 15 years ago, 12 to 15 years ago. My husband has a lot of chronic pain. And we went through surgeries. We went through, you name it. He had the epidural shots, all different kind of treatments, and just it was his neck and his back, heart troubles, like all kinds of problems. And one day my daughter came home and said to me, maybe Dad should try Reiki. Well, I didn't even know what Reiki was and had no idea. So I saw there was an event at a local healthy store, a vitamin store. And I went to see what this was. So at the time, I was working in healthcare, and I took some of the academic people with me. There we go, trotting off to this event and watched this woman talk about Reiki, which I thought, well, that doesn't seem like a big deal. I can do that. Raise my hands up and that's it. So the woman who was doing the demo said to me, well, did you ever try this? And I says, I don't need to try that. I'm fine. I don't have any problems in the world. It's my husband that has the problems. I'm fine. So she suggested that I try it. First two times really didn't do anything because I was more interested in what she was doing than feeling what was going inside. And then the third time it hit me, and that was it. It just sold me. So the whole thing started with energy work. And when I approached my husband about it, thinking he's going to think I finally lost it, because we were very much into the church, and we were into more of a Eastern Catholic church, which was much more traditional. He said to me, well, it's about time. He says, I've been waiting for you to want to try this. And I thought, I didn't even know he knew anything about it,
Wow.
Yeah, so I started to work on him, got some results, but then I also worked with an acupuncturist who was from China, and she worked in the hospital, and I was always amazed at what she did. And so she would show me some points, and I would go home and say to my husband, get your shoes off, and I'd start working on his feet. And then it was just more and more interesting until finally I had to learn more about reflexology at that point. So I was already in my 50s. And I found a school that was a spiritual school, because I didn't want to take anything online. I wanted to know what I was feeling was correct. So I ended up going, it was 80 miles, and it was called the Valley School of Healing Arts in Port Trevorton, PA. And I started taking courses there, and reflexology was the first. And then I continued to take many courses till I got a diploma in reflexology. And then the school itself was different because it taught you more on the healing perspective than a technique. So you really had to learn how to connect with people and to have your energies sink. And, it's so different than a regular. I ended up taking massage there too. So
Yeah.
it's different. It was a very different school. Later became a board member on the school and later helped to assist with teaching of reflexology and massage. So anyway, I just love this reflexology. I couldn't get enough of it. And I tried different types, Thai reflexology, chronic pain reflexology. Our school taught a different method. So reflexology was really introduced by Eunice Ingham, but she mapped the body and she did a technique that was walking the thumb or walking the fingers to different reflexes of the feet. And at the school, we learned how to do a technique that was completely different. It was more where you're using your body and you're using the strength of your body. So you're not really blowing out your fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And you're really connecting. And I'm not saying anything against Eunice's treatment. I'm just saying this is how the way that I was taught. So when I do reflexology, I get lost in it. When I'm doing reflexology at a show, I have no idea of the time. I have to have a timer to know when to stop.
Yeah.
Because I just it just takes me away. And I think the most important thing that I learned through reflexology was I was working in healthcare. I worked there for 30 years. And towards the end, COVID came. I opened the studio like 2 months before COVID came. But I had time to really learn a lot of things too. So it wasn't like everybody says, oh, you were closed. But it was a good learning time for me. It wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
jumping right into the business. And when going into healthcare, my job at that time was with patient relations. So it was basically the complaint department. So I had constantly people complaining. Some didn't want to wear the mask. Others were it was just a whole different way of complaints, a whole different
Yeah.
level of complaints. And my studio was 7 minutes from the hospital. And it was like I'd walk out of my studio and I would feel like Kramer on Seinfeld. Like I'd walk out like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this person. Like the complaints were so different.
Right.
And and then I'd go and I'd meet somebody and we'd start reflexology, and within 5 minutes, I was completely in another world.
Mm-hmm.
And it helped me just as much as it helped the person. So,
So everything is definitely in divine timing, and it sounds like that all worked out for you at the perfect time with the COVID and the other things that were going on.
yeah.
And you utilized the time wisely. Like I said, when people were all kind of locked down, and you had that time to really to do the inner work on yourself or education or things like that, and really do it in a positive way, or you went down the rabbit hole in the other direction. But when I had this session with you, and I think that was in Gettysburg, um, it was, and I've had reflexology done before, but it was just so amazing to me because it was really a passionate healing I felt from what you were sending through. And then you were starting to tell me that it was a little bit different technique than regular
Mm-hmm.
reflexology. So I can honestly say it is because it was a different experience for me than any other reflexology I've had done. And again, not taking anything away from that modality because it's helpful as well, but it was just a different experience. And I really feel that you have that gift of a true healer, light worker, and it encompasses everything when you put your hands on somebody.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. It is, I was talking to, I work at a wellness center, and I had the honor of actually, I rent space. So I'm not, I'm the only one that is renting space there. And I
Mm-hmm.
was talking to one of the people that work there the other day, and we were talking about the difference with being able to do something you love, because it's not like work.
Right.
You
It's a
know,
vocation.
it feels so good.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly, I don't book online. If people come to me, they're referred to me, or somebody will find me, and I'm happy that way. Everybody keeps saying, well, go get a website, but I'm happy with the amount of people I get. I'm happy with the people that come, because it's more special than just giving somebody a treatment.
Right.
And it really is, you really do connect with that person. Um,
Yeah. And so are you located? Where's the wellness center? You're in Pennsylvania somewhere?
I'm in Pennsylvania, right by Hershey Park. Actually, it's a little town called Hummelstown, and it's so quaint. The studio is called Brownstone Station Wellness Center. It's a beautiful old building. I have a really nice room. Everybody treats me well. I'm really lucky. I'm probably
Yeah.
one of the luckiest people, um, to be able to have a space that I could come and go to, and just, sometimes I just go in the room and I just take 5 minutes, and I just love it,
Yeah.
because I love the feeling of being there.
And
So,
it shows, and that's you are a living example of, we get back what we put out, because everything that you seem to do, that anytime I've encountered you, it's just been with loving intention and for the good of others. So you
mhm.
receive that back by being blessed with the space that you have, and the clients that find you. And that's what it's all about, that exchange of energy and putting out good intentions to have them return to you.
And that's true. I mean, like, even every show, like, people, like, somebody said to me the one day, why are you traveling? Why are you going to shows? It's because I want to meet the people that I need to meet. And when I
Right.
did Lewis, I did do Lewis. I forgot there for a minute.
Yes. Yeah.
It was so funny when I did Lewis. I used to go down to that area, every now and then, because I had a friend who lived in that area, and she moved to Florida. And when I was in Lewis, I took a break and I sat outside, and I kept thinking, oh my God, I miss Norma. I just miss my Norma, And I was going to call her, but I went back into work, and here she was in Lewis that week. And then we ended up
Oh,
hooking up together. And it's like, son of a gun, like, I was drawn to that area because Norma was there. I
oh,
needed to
wow.
be
Yeah.
there. But I did meet, like, there were a couple people that were very special, and it was like, and it was a 3.5 hour trip. Um, and we did it in a day, but it was a reason that I needed to be there. And
Yeah.
it didn't matter, like, it doesn't matter if 5 people were at the show to me. It's like, it matters to me who's there, who
Right.
I need to be with.
Right.
And
Yeah. I was just reading a book that it said about light workers. If you touch one person and make a difference in one person's life on this earth, then you did your job. So it's like going to the events. If it's just one person that you're there for, then you did your job.
right, right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Lewis is very special. And when I did that event, we were in the same room, actually,
Hmm.
in opposite corners. Yes. So when I did that event, it was like last minute. I wasn't planning on doing it. And again, it was like divine intervention. I showed up there, and sure enough, there were 4 people that came to my table, and they said they were there just to see me again, because they had seen me at the Lewis show before that I actually lectured at that one. So
Oh.
it works, it works in
Mm-hmm.
that way. And I'm like you, I travel because I want to get out there. I want to interact with the people, meet the people. Like I would never have met you if we weren't doing shows.
I
And look
know.
at right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just the people, the attendees, it's the other vendors. It's, you have such a high vibrational frequency when you do these events because of the like-minded people and the seekers, the people that come seeking the knowledge and the enlightenment and the healing that we all share collectively. So it is a beautiful tribal type community. And I get why you do them.
Yeah.
I wanted to just stop and say hello to Melissa, Richard, Destiny, and Ruth. They all joined us. And I think I got everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm talking with Trish. I'm so happy to have her as a guest. I want to go back to what you said about the Catholic Church
Yeah.
and the because I really like how that goes together, that dogma religion to the energy work and the healing and the spiritual side of life and stepping away from that dogma of that traditional religion. Because I guess with the work that you're doing now, that you have a different feel about spirituality versus religion.
Um, I do, but I was raised as a Ukrainian Catholic. Um, and at that time I was raised as Ukrainian, but I came from a very small town and it was mostly Roman Catholics.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I went to the Ukrainian church, I went to a Roman Catholic school. And there was a lot of confusion all my life because they are different. They're both
Yeah.
Catholic, but the religions are very different. When I got married, my husband was Byzantine. And when I got married, we moved to Harrisburg and we joined the church in Harrisburg. And there was a priest there that was pretty special. He was very different from any other priests or nuns that I grew up with. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember the one day being in church, I was in the back row, and I remember getting this feeling. It just went through my entire body. I didn't know what the feeling was, but I knew there was something different, and there was energy in that church. And I believe that the priest at that time had some kind of energy. So from him, I I got a different feeling from the traditional way I felt.
Mm-hmm.
He was a completely different person. A lot of people didn't understand him or care for him. Um, but I do believe that he had some type of energy healing to him.
Yeah.
And I still believe, I mean, I believe in God. I believe my sister's really religious. I'm,
Yeah.
but I do believe that there is a stronger, higher force here, but I don't believe that we're going to be punished. Like if we tell a lie or if we tell, like
Yeah.
all the things that the nuns really put in my head. Those nuns were something else. But
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's what they believe too. So
Right.
that part I don't believe, but I do believe, yes, there is someone special, there's spirituality, there's more to life than just what we're here for or what we think we're here for. And I think as we grow older, we start to feel that and we start to embrace it more. And
Right.
I'm very lucky that I'm here to feel this. So I don't really a lot of people of the church, I don't think they understood where I was going at that point, but I still respect them, and still I still have some friends that were at the church, but I just have a different view, and
Yeah.
and I honor theirs. So.
And that's what it's about, respecting everyone's right to whatever their faith, their spirituality, their religion is. It's not meant to be like, oh, you're wrong, I'm right, come to my side.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that. I too, well, I'm Roman Catholic, was raised Roman Catholic, went to Catholic school. And so I get that, the you're gonna punish and go float around purgatory, all that stuff
Yeah,
that you
black
get
box,
raised.
that's your soul. There's black box
Yes.
in you, and you keep getting all these dots in it. Every time you do something, you get a black dot on it.
Right. And it's just when you think about it, it's so we're so programmed to believe these things. And it really does put that fear into a
Mhm.
child. But I used to buck the system all the time. I remember I had in high school, I guess it was like sophomore year, I was taking an art class, and it was a Sister Carol J was the teacher. I'll never forget her. And we were doing these mosaics, tearing uh, pieces of magazine for the colors. And I did a manger scene, and I put a darker skinned baby Jesus in the manger. And she comes by and she's looking at it. And I looked at her and I said, where does it say that he's white? And where he's from, most likely his skin is darker. And she just shook her head and walked away. And I was a freshman in high school because I just didn't buy everything. I can
Mhm.
remember, and I just had this conversation with someone last night. I remember when I was making my confirmation, and I'm sitting in the church waiting to do my confession for the first time. I'm thinking to myself, all the way up to this point, you taught me that God is everywhere. He sees everything, he hears everything. Then why can't I just sit in my bedroom and confess my sins to God? Why do I have to get in this box with the man behind the scene? I didn't buy it. I never bought any of it. But I think part of that is because I had the psychic gifts since I was a child. So I was
Mhm.
receiving things. And I think I that was what was giving me that, question everything kind of thing. But yeah, my father was really very strict Catholic. My mother was a Protestant. And when they got married, it was almost like taboo, it was
Oh,
really,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, because that was many, many years ago. But it really, it's sad that they have to create fear for people. And it's like people say, I got the fear of God. Why? You got the love
Mhm.
of God. He's
Right,
He's love.
right.
We are love. We're created from love.
Mhm.
That's where it all is. So do you still go to the church?
No, no, I don't. Our priest
Yeah.
unfortunately died, and when he died, I just actually it became more like a bi-ritual church, so it became more Roman Catholic, and I really did like the traditions.
Yeah.
Um, so I just kind of slowly stopped, and yeah, I just haven't found what I'm looking for yet.
Yeah. When I moved to Florida many years ago, I that's when I really started to open up to my gifts again, and take this journey that I'm on now, and I have been on for many years. And I started to go to a metaphysical chapel who had their services in the evening on Sunday. But for the longest time, I went to Catholic Mass in the morning. And that came from the all that fear that they put in me. It's like you got to go to church on Sunday, you got to go to church on Sunday. Even though I was
Mhm.
going to a different church in the evening, I still felt this obligation to going to the Catholic Church. But I do like the rituals of the Catholic Church.
Mhm.
But I did finally said, you know what? I think it was probably one of the ministers at the spiritual church that said, it's okay. It's okay. And I think the biggest thing with me too was when I would go back to New Jersey to visit my father, to tell him that I left the Catholic Church. but he was good with it because he saw what I was doing, and his whole thing was, as long as you believed in God and you lived your life with in good intention,
Mm-hmm.
and by the golden rule, then you're good. and
Mm-hmm.
and that's basically what I was doing. My grandchildren are in Catholic school right now, and the only reason is because of the what's going on in the school systems now. At
Right.
least they get a good foundation. They start their day with the Lord's Prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance,
Mm-hmm.
and so it really, there's good in everything. And when I was younger, when my son was younger, I used to say to him, "You take what you need and you leave the rest behind," because that's what I would do when I'd go to mass. I would take what I needed, and I'd leave all their dogma stuff
Mm-hmm.
right there as I left the church.
Right.
You can all
Right.
keep that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we all have this journey, and our journeys are very personal,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to do what's good for us and not worry about what other people think. Like you had just mentioned about the other people in the church and family, and as you're making that change, you can't worry about that. You can't
No.
worry if they understand it or not, because it's not their place.
No. No. You have to give that up, and that's part of the, I guess, the guilt that you have to get rid of and not feel,
Hmm.
because it's not real. It's not real. It's, you live to be who you are, and not, you can't worry about things that, how are they, what difference do they make anyway, you know
Right.
and that's what we were talking about today. Me and my friend, we were talking about, this is a great age, because at this age you're not worried about everything, and you don't, it's not that you don't care, but it's not like it's a big deal if something happens, like you get past it. It's,
Right.
and yeah, so I'm at a good place in my life, and I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm enjoying
Yeah.
everything.
And that's it. You got to, like you said about doing what you're passionate about, and it isn't work. It was when
Mm-hmm.
for myself, when I finally stepped into this, which I call my true vocation, my sole purpose. It's my life has become a lot more peaceful, a lot easier. It isn't work. I mean, there are things, we all have those days, but it's like, oh, well, you have computer glitches, which I
Mm-hmm.
was having so many issues with this show in the beginning. And now I'm doing this from my home because I finally got an internet booster that worked. It was great. Tiffany and I tested it out yesterday and everything was well. Richard commented in, I went to Christian and Baptist church as a kid. So the and I hate to say this, but I feel when you are raised like in such a strict religion, there is a lot of damage that can be done to a young child. And like you were saying, Trish, about the guilt,
Mm-hmm.
and that fear that they put in you. So that's part of that. We have to move through healing, understanding, grounding in who we are as our divine being, and knowing what that is, and not worrying about you know believing what we were programmed to believe as children, because we all had it. And
Right.
you mentioned the nuns. They were tough.
Oh, they were tough. I actually went to a convent for a weekend. Well, that went over really well, but I mean, that was another thing, because I was Ukrainian, and I was in the Roman Catholic school, so I went to a Roman Catholic convent. And back
Hmm.
then it was like, well, in our town anyway, like the Italians weren't allowed to touch or go with the Polish people. Even the Polish people weren't allowed to go with the Ukrainian people. I mean, there
Right.
was there was so much back then that was ridiculous, and
Right.
it was just a whole different world.
It
But
was.
but they did their best. I mean, that's what what they thought was best. Like our parents,
Right.
they didn't
Right.
know any different.
Right.
So,
Well, we're going to take a moment because we're going to take a break for my sponsor, Intention Teddy. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes while we have our commercial break. Those intention teddies are so adorable and they're a
they
great
are
gift
cute.
for anybody. Yeah, you could put any kind of crystals in them that you need, whatever you need to the healing for or protection. They're wonderful. So I want to get back to you were talking about staying in a convent. I can remember going to the convent as a child. We would have to help the nun after school, walk her
Mm-hmm.
over carrying her stuff or something. And I would be so afraid to go through the door, and I would be like right at the entrance and not want to go in. It was almost like the house of horrors, the stories you would hear. And some of them were so mean, but it also is kind of sad because there aren't many left. And
No.
the older
Mm-mm.
ones, I don't even know if they get the care and the things that they need after you know uh, devoting their life like they did, but it's all part of the breakdown.
Yeah, that is very sad.
Yeah, it is. All right, I'm reading the comments to see if I missed anything. Yeah, and then there's just so much horror that the stories and the things that come out on all of these strict religions, and it really doesn't need to be that way. And I'm so happy when you said this is a good time, and I guess you were speaking more about where you are as in the age that you're on. I think we're pretty much close to the same age. um, and I get it because you walk into knowing who you are, and things are different. But this is a great time to be alive, just with what's going on in the universe, and all of this disruption is occurring for the ascension and everything. And it's like the people like you and I and the whole Goldylocks production family, all the show hosts and our VIPs, we're on this enlightenment path, this light worker, healer, bringing everybody up to the next level. And that's what this time is about. This
Mhm.
is the time for the shift of getting rid of all that dogma, false belief, and bring us back to that divine energy source, God, universe, spirit, whatever you choose to call. Because I asked you what you believe. I believe that there is only one God, no matter what you call it. If you study sacred texts, they basically tell the same thing, just in different verbiage. And the thing about the Catholic Church or Christianity, um, the Bible, there was a big portion of the Bible that they had kept out. I don't know if you're aware of
Mhm.
that or not. There's a lot of things that's why, and again, last night in my conversation with my friend, we talked about those things because do I truly believe that the Bible is the word of God? Well, it's written by men. It's interpreted differently by anyone who reads it. There are so many versions of it. So, I'm sure there are things in that Bible that are from God, but I don't believe all of it is, you know,
Mhm.
truth in a sense, because we all can pick and choose what we want to take out of it too. So it's
Right.
it's a very slippery slope. And being a minister, a spiritual universal minister, I work with people from all walks of life. And it's just, we live by there is a power greater than us. We live by the golden rule. Do unto others as you would do unto yourself. Uh, Keep love as the first intention in anything that you do. No harm to another. And that's when you were mentioning earlier about your friends from the church. They do what they do, and you do what you do, but you're still friends. The world needs to get more of that, Trish.
Mm-hmm.
They
No,
really
we
do.
definitely do. We definitely do. And like you said, this is a great time to do what we do because we're getting bigger, we're getting stronger, more people are involved, more young people. Young people are involved. And
Right.
young people, like I'm seeing younger people all the time. And I know they've gone through a lot. But just like we had the guilt and the fear, now these young people have a different type of fear and worry and everything because of how COVID affected everybody and just life
Yeah.
itself. But at least they know they have somebody to go to,
Right.
and they have a way to. I mean, we're not there. I'm not a therapist, but I'm there to relax them and to take them away for if it's just an hour, just to let them have peace of mind. And that's
Yeah.
what that's my whole purpose is just to try to give somebody that time that they need just to let their body reset.
Yeah. Yeah, and even though you're not a therapist or a counselor, the healing and that touch, the safety that a person feels during that time in the session with you, it does wonders. I feel that there's a lot more that you give to a person than you even realize by
Mm,
the work that you do, because you really it shines, and people are drawn to that, and especially
mm,
the young people. I have more and more young people that come to events. I see a lot younger people, and it really is exciting because they are the future,
mhm,
and they do have people. A big part of some of the struggles that I had, because I had my psychic gifts as a child, and there was no one. I didn't know anything about psychics or any of this, and I had no one to talk to, and my family just all thought that I had imaginary friends, and I marched to my own drummer, and I blocked it out the best I could, and I did all the wrong things. But as I got older and in school and picking up all this stuff, but if there was just like an Illuminate festival for me to go to,
right,
what a
right,
difference that would have made in my life.
yeah,
It's just it is a great time to be alive, and there is so much good out in this world, and people just, if you choose to keep the news on and the television and focus on all the bad stuff, you're just giving it energy. you know
mhm,
Go to an Illuminate festival, go to any spiritual metaphysical festival that you can find in your area, and get out there and see what's really out there, and feel the love, and feel how we are connected, because we are all connected. I was just watching on YouTube the other day. I love Dr. Bruce Lipton. I
mm,
mention him a lot, and he did this little video about that we're a trillion cells. We're not just this body, it's individual cells, it's like all this connectedness, and how we are not separate from the nature, because nature is all cells connected
mhm,
as well. And the indigenous people got it, that we're the gardeners. We are here to tend to this beautiful earth, but now we're here destroying it. And by destroying that, it is destroying us, because we're all connected. And I just love that. And I also read, I don't remember if it was in a book or where I saw it, that if we start to look at ourselves as a soul with a body instead of a body with a soul.
oh,
And
that's
that I
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, because it really is. It's like the body just houses the soul. The
mhm.
body is not that important. It's the soul, because that's going to go on forever and ever. So,
Yeah.
So what do you do for yourself to release the stress or the tension? Because I know those shows, those events are really tiresome. You're busy, you're putting all that energy out for other people. How do you recharge?
The way I recharge is pretty simple. It's my daily walk with my dog. You know, I had a dog, I had a border collie, and I never knew what a border collie was like. But we got a border collie, and he taught me a lot of things. But he taught me the most important thing was walking and just being one with the dog in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't take your phone, don't, you know, it was just being spending that time. Well, anyway, long story short, he passed, and I was lost. So we did get a puppy, and I it's going out in my morning walks, and my walks are the things that really start my day. They settle me, and that's when I meditate, and you know, I'm grounding, and even like waking up in the morning, taking a shower. It's doing the ritual, you know, cleansing, and then doing my walk and doing my grounding, and just having other treatments too, because self
Mm-hmm.
care is important.
Right.
So, you know, but I can't even say, like, I get tired at the shows, but I don't really. I get more energized because it is being with, it's being in that energy. I can't
Right.
even explain it. It's just so uplifting, and it
Yeah.
just fills my heart. So,
Yeah. It's I usually I get recharged at most of them. The only time I really feel tired is if I do a lot of readings with no breaks, and if they're really heavy energy of the people I'm reading for. But I just did Illuminate Richmond last Sunday, and it was a small event, but oh, the opening ceremony was so
uh,
uplifting. It and the connections and the people, it was really such a nice event. And I've never done Richmond before, and I was a little surprised because it was small,
hmm.
but it was I would definitely go back. And I did the drive up because I'm in Virginia Beach, so I did the drive and all in one day, and I was energized coming home. I was, because at first I was like, that's going to be a long day for me, getting up with
Right.
you, like
Yeah.
you going to Lewis, it's a
Hmm.
long day when you're traveling. But it was really energizing. I got to say hi to Destiny. I don't think I said hi to Destiny. And Richard says, soul having a human experience. That's right. That's what we are, soul beings having human experience. So what events are you doing, coming up?
I'm doing Baltimore this weekend, and then Gettysburg in July. The Midsummer show in Lancaster is coming up in July also. And oh, and New Visions in York is in August.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a
they
big
just sent
show. Hmm.
yeah, they just sent me an email because I had applied for that, and they want me to do, they because they vet readers, which I like
Hmm.
when they do it. I'm still on the fence about doing it because the Pennsylvania shows, that's a long haul for me. It's over
That would
six
be
hours.
fun. Hmm.
Yeah, I usually try to stay within, like 4.5 hours tops. I do that Allentown event. You don't do Allentown, do you?
I'm going to do the September Allentown event,
Yeah.
and also Spirit of Oneness. That's a really nice show in
Yeah,
Harrisburg.
that one was a little bit too far for me
Mhm.
too. But I do Allentown. I have relatives in the area, so I stay with them, and that's one of the reasons. But it's a tough drive. It really
Mhm.
is, and that's why I'm kind of on the fence about doing the one in York. But I just got that email today, so I haven't replied to them yet.
Mhm.
Robert wants to know where in Lancaster is this show that you'll be doing.
Give me a minute, Robert, and I'm going to look it up, okay?
Yeah, we can't remember all those things. Robert is I believe he's a VIP, but he's a regular watcher of all of the Goldylocks. I mean, he might not be in the
Oh,
VIP, but he came to Allentown to meet me in person. And there's a picture of he and I somewhere. I don't know where. I think it's I don't know, on one of the Goldylocks things.
okay.
Did you
Yeah,
find it?
I did find it. It's called Midsummer Holistic Expo. It's Saturday, July 8th and July 9th, Sunday. It's at the Lancaster Farm and Home Center, Arcadia Road in Lancaster. So
If you, I was going to say, if you want to send me that information, I can email it to Robert. He's on
I
my
sure will.
newsletter. Yeah, he's on my newsletter list, so I'll make sure he gets it.
It's a
How's that,
nice
Robert?
show. It's a very nice show.
Yeah, good, good. I love Lancaster areas. It's just because I'm from New Jersey originally, and when I was small, my parents used to take me there to the Amish country, and I just love that. I mean, that's we talk about our way of life and what goes on in the world and how we are. We should really look at the way the Amish live,
Oh,
because
you're so right about that. Yes.
a lot to learn there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot to learn, because
Yeah.
they really do live the way I think we're intended to live, in peace and love and
Mm-hmm.
helping each other. They do those barn raisings together. They're just, it's all about that. And they're not with the technology. They work the land that they're given. I mean, I would love to live like that. I keep getting simpler and simpler in my life, but because of the work that I do, and I do mostly everything over the phone or the internet, because I work all over. Um, I couldn't. I mean, I do as much as I can, but it's very challenging. I fight with the whole needing to use all the virtual payment options. It's
Yeah.
like I love when you go to shows and people have cash, because it's like, yes, cash, it's still a
Mm-hmm.
thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's like
It
really
sure
nice.
is. We have a
Yeah.
young Amish guy that helps us. We've been doing some remodeling, and we just love this guy. And when he talks, like the one day my husband said, "Well, do you work Saturday?" "Oh no, that's family day." And it's like, that's true. We don't have
Yeah.
that anymore,
No.
so we just love him. We're like, well, why don't you move here? Move in with us with your wife,
Yeah.
it's it's just such a nice breath of fresh air, and he's
Yeah.
so thankful and grateful and such a hard worker.
Yeah, they're
Unbelievable.
so respectful. They
Mm-hmm.
really are. And it's so annoying. I haven't been there in a long time, but I can remember, my father would say, you don't take pictures of them, you show them the respect. But then you would see people doing that,
Right.
even
Yeah.
though it's common knowledge that they don't want to have pictures taken, and you don't do those things. But that's just, the society. So, all right, that picture of Robert and I is on Telegram, which I still have not gotten into the Goldylocks group because I can't find it on Telegram. And Robert says he has been to the Lancaster and York. So
Oh,
hopefully
okay.
you'll be able to get there, Robert, and then get a nice treatment from Trish. It'll definitely be worth it, because
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
stop by at least, Robert. Let me know that
Yeah.
you're here. Yeah. Yeah.
It's fun to meet people, because he was the first that I met in person since I started the show, and it was like really good. And I've met clients, because I have clients that have never met me in person, because I work with people all over the United States. And then when I send out the newsletter with my upcoming events, my monthly newsletter, and what's going on, I'll every once in a while I'll have somebody come to my table, and they'll be like, "Hi, it's nice to meet you in person. It'll be somebody that I had worked with or I am working with. And it's, it's really good to be able to get in that energy of
Mm-hmm.
face to face. Like we were talking about getting out and doing those live events, because there's something to it. I have had people say that, oh, really should start doing classes and things, with Zoom meetings. And I'm like, the world's cold enough. I don't want to do that. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
podcast is a wonderful thing because I like using this platform to get people out with their stories like you. I'm so grateful that you agreed to doing this with me, and just sharing our life experiences, because like we were saying about meeting people at the shows and touching somebody's life. Well, we may not know who gets anything from this, but somebody will, because it's not just the live stream, the recorded show goes out all over. So there's so many people that are seeing this that I can guarantee at least one person's going to get something from this, and it could just be the courage to go out there and learn something new at a later time
Mm-hmm.
in life, because you are never too old to learn or make a change. The age
Yeah.
is, time is fluid. Age is just a number,
Right.
so like,
Right.
you know,
I was at a class one day and there was a man there that said, when you stop learning, you stop living. And so, I mean, there's always something to learn. And I remember um, when I was younger and my mother would come to my house, and sometimes I would have some of the doctors come over because my mom was this great Polish cook, and they all wanted to try her cooking. And my mother would say to me, oh, I can't, I'm not educated like them, I can't talk to them. And I'd be like, but mom, you know how to cook. They want you to teach them how to cook. So even though they were in this great profession, they wanted to learn from my mother,
yeah,
and she just couldn't. She was like, no, no, I'm not smart enough for them. And it used to frustrate me because I would think, oh my gosh, you have so much more than you can even imagine, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so everybody can learn. It doesn't matter what degrees you have or whatever. There's always something for everybody to learn.
right, right. And even if you have the PhDs and everything else, we all put our pants on the same way, one leg at a time.
Right?
When we all can give, and I worked in the medical industry for many years with cardiologists, and when we all shared a lot of things. They got knowledge from me because I did the nutrition and the personal training, and I would do stress tests with the docs, and we would talk with the people while they were on the treadmill, and we would both share different you know aspects and different knowledge, because we all had we my mother used to say we all have something to bring to the party, because we
Right,
do.
right.
We
Yeah,
do. Yeah, and
it's
the
true.
the learning to cook or bake from someone who has that old world way of doing things, you can't learn that on TikTok. I'm
Mm-mm.
sorry.
No, we would all be around the stove and my mother would be cooking, and
Yeah,
she'd say to me, I can't believe that you had me do that, and I says, but we loved it. It didn't
yeah.
matter. We had human resource people there, we had doctors there, all these people in the tiny kitchen with my mother cooking. And
Oh, well.
and everybody got something out of it. It was
And I bet
fun.
you all those people have shared that story or what they learned with so many. So there's that ripple effect going out
Hmm.
to the world. And you said about the Amish boy that's doing work for you, and that Saturday is family day. That is part of what is gone too. I can remember growing
Hmm.
up, my grandmother lived with us, and it was such a blessing to have my mom and my grandmother. I learned so much in the kitchen from those two women. And you don't have that in this society now, except I do. My granddaughter, she'll be 8 in July. And for this past Christmas, I got her a little chef's set and a kid's
Oh,
cookbook.
Uh-huh.
And she loves being in the kitchen. And when I'm there visiting, she's like, she gives her dad the list of what she wants to make, so all the ingredients, and then I'm her assistant. She tells me what I have to
Oh
do.
my.
But I love it because
That's
they're
great.
learning, and then my
Hmm.
grandson gets to do a side dish or with me, that
Hmm.
to go along with what she's making. And then the holidays we always do different baking things, and it's always fun with food with when a Mima comes for a visit. But that's life. These are life tools and things that we need to learn young. And unfortunately, it stops somewhere because it's sad. If you look at the health of a lot of the people, it's because they sit in their car and go through fast food drive-throughs, and the nutrition value is not there because they're not spending that time snapping beans with grandma,
Right.
doing those good things that we did. And it was a family event to sit at a big table and have dinner and talk about your day. And
Hmm.
it really, I love that my son and daughter-in-law do it as much as they can. And the kids start with grace now because they're, like I said, they're in the Catholic school, so they give thanks before they have their meal. And I think that's important also, because it's not just, it's all those people that brought that to your table, the farmers, the truckers, all of those people. And we just take it for granted that we have this food on our plates and on our table, and we don't really look into where it came from and how many hands it passed before it got to you to
Yeah,
prepare it in your kitchen.
it's very
So
true.
yeah, so this is the time. This is definitely that time of enlightenment and waking up to all this, or going back to the simple things in life and what's important. And it isn't about the stuff. It isn't about, killing yourself for a paycheck to pay a mortgage for a giant house you don't need, or
Mhm.
whatever. And because we got so upside down in everything, and like you said, you start to do your passion, and it's not a job. Do what you
Mhm.
love and the money will follow, and you'll have what you need, and your needs will be provided for, maybe at a
Mhm.
different level than you grew up, but you'll have everything you need and more. You'll have peace. You'll have that inner peace and
Right.
that joy.
Right. Right. Inner
Yeah.
peace is worth it. I'm telling you, it's like just not to have that stress. Um, just to wake up in the morning and know that what you're going to do, you're going to love. And sometimes I am tired. Like last weekend, I gardened. Well, my hands were hurting, and then I'm going to
Hmm.
go and do massage. But even when I'm doing the massage, like my hands are starting to feel better because it's what I'm doing. It's what
Right.
I love. I'm not sitting there looking at the clock and thinking, "Oh, I have to move my hand this way or that way." Like you just get into it. It's a dance,
Yeah.
and you just let yourself fall into it, and you just makes you feel better.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, there's times that well, when we met in Lewis, I remember we at the beginning of the event, I said, I'm so tired. I don't usually start because I had that whirlwind of coming from New
Right.
Jersey and
Mhm.
everything. And it was like nothing. I got through it. It was
Mhm.
I got uplifted. It was really a really great show. And so is this show. And I really want to thank you for being here. It was a pleasure having you as a guest and an honor. And I can't wait to see you at the next show. And I have to say hi to Kim because she jumped on late. She's listening to the replay. So I'm happy that you are here, Kim. Hello. And enjoy the replay because it was a beautiful show, Trish.
Aw, thank
Your
you,
light
Mary. I
shines
love
through.
that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Did you enjoy it?
I sure did. I did.
Good,
So thank
good.
you. It was
Yeah. Anytime you want to come back and talk about anything else, you just let me know because you are more than welcome. You were a real pleasure. Thank
Aw,
you so
thank
much.
you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.